Hey guys, what's up? I got everybody here from TMI. Don't forget to write us an email at tmipodcast2018. That's tmipodcast2018 at gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Also, check us out on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. Just use the numbers, don't spell it out.
Ooh, don't forget Facebook.com/TMI podcast 2018.
Follow us on the Apple Podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review.
All you YouTubers out there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, TMI Podcast 2018. Look for the popcorn bucket.
That's right. Also, check us out on Spotify and the Google Play Music app for all you Android users. Follow us and subscribe everywhere. We appreciate it. We're doing it for you guys, the fans. Thank you.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Dave Odinson Warhowski, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Mike Mjolnir Evans. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Here we
back.
are.
We're here, all three of us. So should we introduce ourselves again? Because we kind of dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
After.
This is Jim.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
There you go. And we are
I feel
TMI.
like, a theme song should start at this. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. We are covering Maniac. We're going to cover the whole thing, nuts to bolts, episode 1
Yes.
to episode 10.
So if you haven't seen it, you might want to shy away because we are going to get right into it. I like
And then our classic feature this week is Moon. And Jeff, I don't know if you're psychic or not, but these things are tied together.
They are.
I had
indeed.
no idea.
No, not a single clue. And I was just as excited. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I can't wait to get into it. But, as always, we got some news up front.
we do have some news.
So let's get into it.
All right. So first of all, do you know that Deadpool 2, which has come out on disc, is being re-released in the theaters as a PG-13?
No, I did not know that.
Yes. I'm not really sure what to think of this. Why they didn't do it on the
cash grab. That's, this
It-
is a cash grab.
But that means that these PG-13, so these 13-year-olds, at some point they probably already saw the first one, so they're already old enough to watch the second one. Are they just cleaning it up for the sake of, it's got to be a cash grab. They're not even throwing this thing on disc or whatever. It's already out there in the world, and they're re-releasing it. So are you interested in going to this movie and seeing what they cut out or what they're adding?
No.
No.
I mean, do you think parents are like changing their mind? Okay, now it's PG-13, you can go.
Maybe it could be. I do know that I do remember in the theater a mom behind me gasping numerous times at some of the rude jokes and the kids laughing maniacally. So.
The mother's
But I
clutching.
think it loses some of its.
Oh my!
I think a kid who wanted to go see Deadpool 2, knowing that it was R-rated and knowing what he's getting in for, won't want to go see this. But the only thing I could think of is because you don't see his mouth 3/4 of the movie, you can completely change the dialogue and not change the action or anything that's going on around him. And there's some silly scenes. I do know that they released a picture of Deadpool sitting with a book in his hand, reading to a grown-up Fred Savage. He's playing his character from The Princess Bride. So I don't know if this is stuff that got cut and they're putting this back together, but I just thought it was a really weird kind of decision on Fox's part too.
Even if there was bonus footage that's in here now, I still would not go to the theater to see it.
I don't think so, right?
Wait to watch until.
So what? So right, and then 6 months from now, this version's going to show up on disc.
Yeah, with the R-rated version, they'll be packaged together.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's a weird thing. Either of you seen the Dark Phoenix trailer, which has dropped?
I saw some screen grabs from it, but I didn't watch the trailer.
You stayed away from the trailer.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, I saw it. I loved it.
You did?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay. I like her. I'm curious to see how they're going to pull this off. I think Entertainment Weekly ran some like production conceptual paintings, and they looked pretty spot on if they're going to follow the storyline of Jean Grey up in the space shuttle and she saves the ship, but in turn turns into Dark Phoenix or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, this movie was set to release, I think, the end of this year, and then they backed it up.
Yes.
It's now not coming out until summer 19. So I don't know what that means.
When was the original release date before they bumped it?
Mike is saying February. So, I mean, it's only a couple months. Interesting.
Maybe they want to keep it well away from Captain Marvel. When is that? That's March, right?
March. Yeah. But you also have Infinity War, the other Avengers coming out, which has got to be May.
Yeah, first week of May.
So that's interesting.
Those burn out pretty fast, even though, it'll probably make box office records. And then by the end of June, something else will take its place. So
most of this stuff is, Gambit, we know that this has been going on for years and years, the talk of, Channing Tatum playing Gambit.
Confirmed now?
It's been in the works for years. He's really kind of championed for this, but he's getting a little long in the tooth to play this character at this point. But it got bumped back to March 2020. So, but it's still on the schedule.
Putting it out or not?
Well, that's just it. There's no director attached to it. But supposedly it's still on the schedule. It's still out there. We got the other New Mutants, which I think was originally set to be released this April, has now been backed up until August of next year. So I don't know what's going on. They're shuffling this stuff all around.
Jeff, did DC launch their channel yet?
I don't think so, but I know that they're gearing up. They've been heavily promoting Titans. As a matter of fact, New York Comic Con next week, they're actually doing a screening of the first episode, an advanced screening. So,
really? Do we know what day that's on?
It's probably one of the days we're not there.
Yeah, we should mention that will be represented at the New York Comic Con.
We will be there.
Jeff and Mike will be at New York Comic Con. So if our listeners are actually going to be attending, look out for these two guys. What are you going to be wearing, guys? Do you know?
We're both going to be stormtroopers.
I'm just going as myself.
Yeah, just look for the busty cosplayers, and then you'll find Mike.
Only other news I have, which is Kathleen Kennedy has gotten a 3-year extension as president of Lucasfilm. So say what you will about Solo kind of sabotaging her career, they still have faith in her. I don't know. I
loved Solo.
Well, that's the thing, which is right now, Lucasfilm, after this last mishap, kind of backed off and said, maybe we're not going to do these kind of standalone movies once a year. Maybe we're going to take a break. The only thing they have in production right now is Episode 9 that J.J. Abrams is directing. I mean, there's still talk.
The Boba Fett thing is still in question.
That's the Boba Fett thing is just nothing but a rampant rumor. I don't know if there's anybody who's been confirmed as a director, if anybody's out there writing it. But you still have Rian Johnson was handed a trilogy. So you don't know what's going on with that. D.B. Weiss and David Benioff of Game of Thrones, they were given a project. But what that is, who knows? And then you got Jon Favreau, who's out making a live TV show for the Disney streaming service. So there's stuff that's out there. It's just nothing's really being confirmed. That's it. That's all the news I have.
Okay. There's always news.
There is always news. Yeah. Just sometimes it's not interesting.
So let's get into this, shall we? Maniac,
Netflix.
It looked so promising.
Oh, are you implying that it was not?
I would like to.
I'm implying that it was not what I expected. There were lows,
but sometimes that could be a good thing.
There was some laughs, there was some crying.
Mostly crying on your
end. Crying that
I
missed out on some decent sleep hours while I was watching this thing.
This is such a weird, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's only 10 episodes. They sold it as a limited series.
Yeah. And I love the time scheme of these episodes because they're only as long as they need to be.
So it was interesting to the point where it's like, all right, could you have just taken that 10 minutes and added it onto the other episode and just made it 9 episodes. Right. Why 10? First of all, if 2/4 of your friggin' runtime is going to be 26 minutes.
I think, yeah, the longest episode was at a normal, I think around maybe 55 minutes. I don't think there was ever one that went over an hour, but the shortest was about 27 minutes.
Yeah, that's like a Mork and Mindy episode.
Yeah. And they end 3 minutes early, which I really loved.
Oh yeah, the credits just ran.
Because you think, oh, this thing has 7 more minutes, and then in 4, it's done. You're like, this is great.
Well, I will say that I was excited because I got to episode 7, and I couldn't wait to see how they wrap this up. Only to have my balloons popped when Jim informed me that there was 10 episodes and not 8.
Would you have stopped at episode 8?
No, because it doesn't. Because as you watch it, it just. I will say, if you're gonna watch this show, plow through it. Just go one episode after you. I can't imagine waiting a week. Or even a couple hours in between watching this thing.
But that's how it feels like you're plowing through it. That you're just like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm engaged, and I just have to plow through it.
Yeah, I couldn't see watching one a week. I don't know if I'd come back if it was just
no, and especially once you got to episode 4, I mean, it just goes off the rails. Because I thought it had a promising setup.
Yeah, the setup, we'll go through it quick because it's too complicated to get into little minor details.
And we're really not going to spend a lot of time on this. I get the feeling.
Our 2 main characters played by Jonah Hill,
Emma Stone,
who
are also executive producers on this thing.
Yeah.
So they've got their fingers and their pulse all over it.
So Annie and Owen are their characters' names, and they both have mental issues.
That's putting it mildly.
Owen is schizophrenic. He's seeing his living brother as an imaginary friend type of a character, but like a friendlier version of his brother, who's kind of like his deep throat, if you've ever seen the X-Files, who's telling him that he's got a purpose. He's kind of like a secret agent type of...
Yeah, he's got a mission to save the world.
He's on a mission. And his brother, who in reality is just a jerk who's being accused of
assault
at the workplace.
Yeah.
And Owen is being asked to testify in his brother's favor, and he does not want to, and it's tearing him apart. And on top of this, he's schizophrenic. So he has mental issues. And then we have the character of Annie, who we learn as the series goes on that she feels responsible for her sister's death. They got into a car crash together. Annie survived. The sister does not.
By the way, I was sorry to hear about your sister being crushed and then burned to death in that car accident.
So Annie, once they start going into the show, starts seeing her sister. So her and Owen have that in common. So the basic setup is these 2 characters plus a myriad of other people. I think is it 9 altogether?
I think there was 11 at one point, but yeah, when they were sitting around the table, there was only like 9.
Yeah, they sign up for a drug trial, and it's 3 pills: the A, the B, and the C pills.
Now Annie's been secretly taking the A pill.
Is addicted to the A pill.
Yes, and so she scams her way into this trial.
Apparently, if you take all 3, it negates the need for therapy. It works out your issues internally thanks to the chemicals in these pills.
They're pushing big time for this trial to go through so they can get it to to
Yes.
Neberdine, right? That was the name of the...
Neberdine Pharmaceutical. Dr. James Mantelray.
That's a great... I will give them credit for that because that's a great name.
And I normally do not appreciate Justin Theroux's acting abilities, but I really liked him in this. I really loved the character.
He looked like Rob Lowe to me.
Oh, see, I got in 4 episodes before because they skip through the credits. If you just watch this one after the other, like 2 seconds into the credits, it just jumps to the next episode. So I forgot that Jim had gone off on this diatribe about his dislike for Justin Theroux. I thought it was Greg Kinnear.
Oh,
right.
But that's good because the thing is that when you first see his character, he's in this virtual world, shirtless. He's being ridden by this pixelated naked woman, right? And so he's all
he's having simulated sex.
There's that tool Justin Theroux with his shirt off.
Yeah, there he is. I knew you were going to call that out.
Then you realize like the actual character is in his room and this is all a VR thing and he's got this apparatus around his crotch, balding, and so at that point, okay, I was in for this character.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That the setup was very promising, and the weird thing. So there's some really odd choices, aesthetics going on. Not only the oversized glasses that everyone seemed to wear, but the bad wigs. Like there was numerous bad wigs throughout this thing, but it was almost like a pseudo future. It wasn't necessarily like in our time. I mean, there was like these little sanitation robots that roamed across the street cleaning up. But I thought it was weird because again, there's some really weird choices because it's kind of futuristic, and yet they all use like the old Apple DOS computers.
Yeah, and Owen at one point says he was born in 1977. So
it's
like an alternate reality to this one.
Yeah, because there's a point early on, I think it was in the first episode, where you first see him talking to his brother, and you realize that he's crazy.
Yeah,
he's sitting in front of the Statue of New Liberty.
Statue of Extra Liberty.
Extra Liberty.
We needed more. Yeah.
But right, it was like supersized. It wasn't our Statue of Liberty. So you're kind of like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah. It's a really bizarre. There's some weird choices that were made.
And you know what I love was the little promo commercial that they made for the patients of this trial study. I think it was in the second episode where they all sit down before they start taking the pills. And Dr. Mantelray and Dr. Muramoto have made this video, which is so bad.
It is horrible. Yeah.
Now you're probably wondering, how does it work? And it's simple. 3 pills, taken in 3 steps, analyzed by the most sophisticated mega computer ever developed, the GRTA.
Hello, friends. I'm a smart computer.
That was one of the highlights for me, was the video. And at the end, Dr. Mantelray tries to put his pen in his pocket, and he's got
yes, and he keeps missing it, so he just... Yeah.
Oh, and then the whole thing about ad buddies, where it's like actual people that are the advertisements instead of...
Right. So there's this running kind of... It's not even like a joke. It's just kind of like the side story where both our main characters are inundated with these like door-to-door salesmen trying to push them on these ad buddies, which is like, rent a dad or hire a friend kind of a thing where you, right? Like, it never went anywhere. It never went anywhere.
Whenever somebody was in a public place, one of these people would come sit down to you.
He's got a suitcase full of these brochures, and it never went anywhere. It never became a plot point whatsoever.
Yeah,
it was just
that it would. I was expecting for that to come back around, and it kind of did at the end, where character of Annie was kind of hired that guy to be Owen. At the end, I assumed he was a homeless guy, but then I realized that he was a proxy friend or something.
Yeah, like people don't, they can't relate to humans anymore, so you got to hire friends because they can't socialize. There were some weird social...
So the episodes, once the trial begins and they're taking the A pill, the B pill, and the C pill, I couldn't tell you what each one did now, but it's bringing...
No, they skipped over the B pill really quick.
Yeah. No, B was behavior, right?
Yeah, each one of them stood for something, but I don't even remember.
It dredged, any one of the pills were dredging up bad memories for all of them. So
the A was, and that's why Annie was taking it.
Yes, that's why she was addicted.
Because it immediately took her back to her experience with her sister leading up to her death in a car crash. And the reason she actually tells Owen, the reason I'm taking this is because it gives me a chance to see her again. Yeah, so she was addicted to that going into the study. Did you one of the other test subject was Didi Khan?
No.
Yeah, he
was not in this.
Yes.
You're mistaken.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Mike, are you agreeing with me?
I am agreeing with you.
Can we get some confirmation on this?
Pinky Lee from...
Who are you saying was Didi
Greece?
Khan?
The older lady.
Which test subject?
The only other woman that ever spoke.
Lady?
Yes.
Yeah. No. I beg to differ. I've seen that woman in other things. That is not Didi Khan.
Boy, she had all the voice and the mannerisms.
Let me tell you, if her name was in the credits, I would have caught that.
I never saw the credits, so I could very well. All right, well, Mike and I both thought it was her.
No,
listen, I thought that was Greg Kinnear, so I'm way off. What the hell? I will say that a skinny Jonah Hill is not fun to watch.
Jonah Hill was like looking at Bob Dylan today. It was not even young Bob Dylan.
And I guess he was playing, because once you start getting into some of those, like, again, I said like episode 4, it kind of goes off the rails because all of a sudden, I don't even know how to describe it. All of a sudden, it's like role playing where we have a whole episode devoted to them as 80s. They're living in the 80s. And there's this whole story of he's got the mullet and whatever going on.
But before we get into that, we have to talk about the supercomputer.
Oh, Gertie.
Gertie, yeah, GRTA, which they call Gertie. This is the computer that kind of runs the entire drug trial and the lab, it seems. So all the trial participants, they're hooked into Gertie. And at one point, Dr. Muramoto is questioning Annie about her involvement, because he knows that she's addicted to the A pill and that she can't continue because she's been addicted and she's taken so much of the A pill. There's no use in her.
They're reading they're reading like their brain baseline or whatever.
And why is Annie in this?
She wanted to get to the B pill. She wanted to find out what the B was going to do.
I see. But Dr. Muramoto, he kind of calls her out, and he's about to kick her out of the trial, but he dies right in front of her.
He just drops over.
So they're in here. They're in his office. He just keels over. Nobody else knows except Annie.
And she's like, "Is this part of the test?"
Right.
Oh no, you're dead. Okay, you're really dead. And she doesn't tell anybody.
No, she doesn't. So that way, she's able to keep going in the trial.
Right.
But once Gertie finds out about this, because we find out that Dr. Mantle-Ray has programmed her with some feelings, with some empathetic feelings. So as soon as she finds out that Muramoto is dead, she starts to feel sad and cries. And this liquid starts dripping down in the internal works of Gertie and fuses Annie and Owen's wires together, which is why they start appearing in each other's
dreams or memories. But
so as Jeff was saying, the first one we see is an 80s fantasy where they're married, and Jonah Hill as Owen has a mullet, and Annie has got the very Long Island accent.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're kind of like Long Island trash.
And there's there's like a caper where they're trying to steal a lemur from these
fur traders. And there's no way you're gonna make a full coat out of that little lemur. By the way,
they're gonna make a hat.
Oh, a hat. It was just so out of nowhere. In Muramoto, it was obvious that he was having some kind of affair with Gertie. Like, there's a point where he's like face right up on the computer and he's kind of like stroking her. And
Gertie played by Sally Field as a voice in the computer and as like an embodied version once she joins all the test subjects.
Well, she is Mantle-Ray's mother.
And Mantle-Ray's mother, yes.
Yes, who they have to call in. She is some kind of what is she?
A world-famous psychologist, right?
Psychologist. But he's got his own mommy issues going on, so that's all the storyline.
Well, he wants to make mommy obsolete.
With his pills, with the A, B, and the C.
Right. So then why embody your computer with your mother's essence?
Maybe as a weird way of creating the mother that he always needed.
Maybe.
There you go.
Many of the things I didn't understand about.
So then we get into a seance.
Yep. So now all of a sudden, the next episode, they're like 40s grifters, I guess.
And they're looking for the lost chapter of Don Quixote.
And they were married in this version as well.
They were. And they make references to him having to take a fall for her to be arrested, and which is a callback to the lemur episode from 80s Long Island.
Right, yeah.
So all these fantasies are kind of connected.
Yeah, and so in the test, so when they get into the test study, they drop their names and they're given numbers. And Owen is number 1, and Annie is number 9. And those two numbers play out in every one of those episodes. He's wearing a number 1 jersey, a football jersey. Their house number was 901. I thought, again, that was going to be something significant. It went nowhere.
And the seance that they attend in this fantasy was called the Full Moon Seance, which will tie in to our discussion a little bit later. But
I like that.
And so then it goes on. So what was the next thing that they go into? Then we start to see Annie's individual, because they attempt for a while to separate the two, because they can see that Annie and Owen's trajectories are intertwined for some reason.
So we haven't mentioned Mantle-Ray's assistant, the girl, Azumi,
yeah.
Who, when you find out, she's the one who calls him back in when Muramoto dies, and she really is kind of controlling this thing to a certain extent,
and smoking quite a bit.
Oh yeah, there's some serious smoking going on between the smoking, the giant glasses, and the wigs. But yeah, you're right.
I love the effect that Justin Theroux, like he'll have that comb over wig and he'll fling it back.
He'll fling it with his that old school head flip. Yep. So right, Annie, all of a sudden she is in a Lord of the Rings
fantasy with her sister, and they're dressed as elves.
Yep.
And half elf and an elf.
And they even make reference to
Lord of the Rings, Rivendell.
Yeah, because that's what her sister was into. She liked all that fantasy stuff. So, but then you had Owen on the other hand, who was this long hair braided mafioso. That it was just I don't want to. I repeat myself way too many times here.
Everything was really kind of literal that was going, if you thought about it, because this fantasy that Owen was having, where he's like a gangster type character, his family is literally like that in real life.
Right, correct.
So that's just kind of like an extension of what he was facing in reality, where he wasn't sure that he wanted to go that far with his family. And it was taken to the nth degree in this fantasy where he's witnessing a driller killing right in front of him.
Oh yeah, that was a little over the top.
Quite a bit, yes.
Yeah.
But my favorite fantasy had to be that last one, where he plays Snorri, the Icelandic.
I don't even that accent. He made a joke about it because he was like,
which explains my bizarre accent.
Because it wasn't. It was just like the stupidest. Right, and he was like, she was a secret agent, CIA. He was.
And what was the alien's name?
That was the funniest part. I didn't even take a note on that one.
Well, this particular fantasy has Owen as some kind of a delegate to the emissary of. There's like 6 different titles that he's got and he's from Iceland, and he has found and befriended a tiny alien.
While on a birding expedition, I discovered teeny tiny little Annie wounded. At first, I believed he was a Huderfolk, the little people.
That has come to Earth and has the solution for all of the world's problems.
Yep.
And his brethren are up in space waiting to come down after he makes contact. So Owen introduces him to his government, to the rest of the world's governments. And they have a party, I guess, before the rest of the aliens are about to come down.
Yep.
And Owen accidentally Snorri accidentally electrocutes his little alien friend. And in a hilarious, kind of a courtroom scene, Snorri offers himself up as a sacrifice to the aliens so they won't come and destroy the world because of his terrible, terrible error of electrocuting his.
But in that horrible accent, like he sounds like a little 4-year-old.
Yes, I am guilty. I have prepared a small statement. Thank you. Because of my incompetence, I should be placed in the cone of a rocket and launched into space.
And the one scene where he says, I tit-fed him.
And he's got a blonde wig. And then somehow Annie saves him, and she's got all kinds of Black Widow moves.
And this is the first fantasy where they come back together after a few episodes of being apart.
Right.
And she has to get him out of the building because everybody wants to offer him as a sacrifice to the alien. So she has to kill multiple security guards to get him out. And so this is kind of the end game of the series because this happens in the 9th episode.
Yeah.
So we get to episode number 10.
At last.
I don't know. Can we say that the trial was a success?
They set them all. They gave. I don't. They gave them all. You're now cured. Here you go. Here's your check. You're all good. And they just shuffled them out the door.
Well, and then Owen ends up in a mental hospital.
So he really was cured.
I think he wants to get far away from Annie as he can because I think he just sees this potential relationship as a chance for her to reject him in the end.
Not only that, he was still like questioning his own reality. He was like,
I
don't even know if you're
real.
Right, which is
anything that just happened was real. Oh, and that would have been an awesome ending if it turns out that she wasn't real. If it all was,
I would have bought it. I would have been okay. All right, it's all in his head, and he's just like drooling in the corner in a straitjacket.
Yeah, you're sort of waiting for a twist, right?
Yeah, no, there's no twist.
No twist.
So Annie
just a twist of another beer.
Well, it does kind of end successfully for these two characters because Annie reconnects with her father,
who is Hank Azaria,
who has locked himself away in what looks like a car without wheels and windows.
It's like a sauna, those little hotbeds.
Coffin that sits outside in his backyard.
That she talked to him.
In there?
Right.
Is he watching TV? Is he?
He's moping over the fact that the sister is dead, and I guess the mom was dead too. But yes, it was Hank Azaria.
So because the father is in there, Annie thinks that he blames her for the death of the sister. And so that's just part of her,
guilt.
Paranoia, guilt. So at the end, when she goes to visit the father to apologize that she stole his money to make it to this trial, he's out of the box. Like nothing happened.
He's like, hey, you want some pancakes?
How's it going?
Come on, let's go. God, you steal my money.
Yeah, I've been out of that box for a long time. Come on, where you been at? So everything ends kind of well with her. She's kind of made peace with the fact that her sister's dead, that she's okay with her father. Then she goes to break Owen out of the psych facility that he's in. And she does it successfully. So they drive off into the sunset. The guards realize that what's going on as they're walking out the front door. They chase them down. And they're running beside the vehicle as they're driving away. I'm like, don't they get the license plate?
Right.
You'd be back, if this was reality,
we'll catch you. Right, we'll catch you 5 lights down.
So they kind of drive off into the sunset, and for all intents and purposes, I think it's done. I can't see this coming back for a season.
No, but he did turn on his brother too in the trial. He did go to trial.
Yes, yes.
And he turned on his brother. And I got the impression that the brother, like at first the brother was like smiling, like, yes, thank you for ratting me out. And then all of a sudden he went nuts and I'm going to kill you. Yeah. So it was, I will say Sally Fields was completely wasted.
Yeah, she was gone after
they bring her in, Manta Ray's got issues with his mommy. She ends up speaking with Gertie, trying to use her psychobabble on this computer to talk it off the ledge. But then she just goes away. Yeah, I'm going on a 27 country tour and you'll never see me again, son.
Yeah, you've got real problems with this computer. I'll see you later. That was basically it.
Yeah, and they ended up pulling the plug. They pulled the plug, lost all of their information, shut her down, right?
Yeah, simple as that. Boom.
Yeah.
And then Azumi and Dr. Manta Ray, assumingly get it on because they make out.
Yeah, that was. But you got the impression. Well, they had a relationship prior, right, before he went away.
Or they were on the verge of having a relationship before he went away. Maybe it didn't seem to me that it was consummated.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't care. Was the alien's name Ernie?
Yes.
There you go.
Ernie.
Boom. Took me a minute. Ernie.
And he says it so many times. I don't know why. I forgot.
And the little alien just like explodes. You never see the alien
you
beyond
only
just
see
a
his
little hand. Little hand.
Microphone.
And it just explodes and there's blue guts everywhere. But yeah, this is just, I don't even know what to make of it. I can't recommend this at all.
I enjoyed parts of it, especially the Ernie section and the second episode where they all get into the trial. I really enjoyed those two episodes. I think it was episode 2 and episode 9. There were some in between where, I was fighting to stay awake.
Yeah, well, the whole storyline with go ahead, Mike, because
the Lord of the Rings thing. I was just like, what's going on? And Owen's a hawk, and I'm like,
I forgot.
Then it was 2 episodes. Then it was 2 episodes.
I'm a hawk.
Yeah,
and you just get shot down.
What was that, like 7 and 8?
Yeah,
it was right in the middle there. So there was things to recommend this, but I wouldn't watch it again.
No.
Yeah, there's many other shows that you could watch besides this one that you would enjoy much more. So maybe give episode 2 a try if you're listening to this, if you're on the fence.
Episode 2 was, episode 1, it's basically Owen setup. Episode 2 was the Annie setup, and I did enjoy the Annie storyline a lot better than Owen's. I didn't care about Owen.
He was very
didn't care if he was crazy or not. I wasn't invested in his character at all.
Because he would have the same expression on his face.
And why she fell for him, I have no idea, because he's just a mopey sloop. It's just like, dude.
You could understand why his family, he drove them nuts, because he irritates the viewer as much as he probably irritates his family.
The family. And they did regale in putting him down or making fun of him at any opportunity. And he had 12 brothers?
The mom is played by Trudy Styler, Sting's missus.
Oh, I did not know that.
How did you know that?
Because I caught her name in the credits to this and to Moon, our follow-up feature. There's many connections between
She's in that too?
She's an executive producer of Moon.
How bizarre is that?
I think that this is a purpose. It's purposeful.
There's a pattern. That was the one thing Owen was looking for, patterns.
So maybe we should get into it. Let's go to the concession stand before we get into it further.
Please, I need something.
Should we do popcorn buckets?
Something needs to, we need popcorn buckets. We need
popcorn buckets.
Okay, so let's start with Mike. What do you got?
I'm kind of with you guys. Episode 1, you're kind of like, what is this? Episode 2, the Annie story. Okay, that's putting it together a little bit. And then was episode 3 the lemur keeper?
Or was that episode 4 or 3?
Oh, no, because they weren't even in a trial then. Episode 4 was the first episode with the lemur.
Okay, so
that is the one to me that went off the rails.
So I was kind of okay through there, but I'm going to give my vote. I'm going to give this one popcorn bucket, and I think I'm being generous. I can't believe this thing gets like 4 tomatoes on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever.
People love this. I just was reading a review before.
It was over. It's like 84% approval at the moment.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
So I'll give it, I don't want to give it 3, but there were episodes that I would give 3 popcorn buckets. Episode 9 especially, and episode 2. I love the Ernie thing. I think that was the highlight of the whole thing.
I agree with you.
I'd say 2.5 for me in total.
I'm going to split it. I'll go 2. I don't even know if I can go.
Don't do it. Just go with your
1.5. Let's go 1.5.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I did laugh out loud at the Ernie stuff, and I very seldom laugh out loud at anything that I watch. I'm more of a kind of a smirk, and that was amusing, kind of a.
Was it trying to be clever throughout? Because I don't know.
I think it was. I think the Hawk thing maybe was a little bit too clever, throwing something in there that nobody would get except maybe the writer or the director.
There was, it just, I don't know, went over my head.
Yep, I'm not intellectual enough for this sort of thing.
Here you go. That's saying a lot.
So now we're late to the confession stand. I hope they got stuff.
Oh, I hope so too.
Other than questionable, politically incorrect snacks. But
And now meet the star of our show. Symbol of a treat that quality made famous. America's most famous ice cream treat. Eskimo pie. Creamy, delicious ice cream made even more exciting with smooth, rich chocolate coating. And wearing the label of quality, known the world over. Eskimo pie, the treat you know is tops because it carries its pledge of quality right on the back of the bag. Be sure you save the bags for valuable premiums. Get famous Eskimo pie at our refreshment stand now. It's America's anytime taste treat. Finest ice cream, finest chocolate. It's delicious.
So let's get into our classic. Jeff.
Yes.
You deserve a pat on the back, my friend.
Wow, this one, I can't even take credit for it because it just, whatever, it works. Sometimes it just all comes together.
So, yeah, what we're talking about is Moon, which was directed by Duncan Jones, formerly known as Zoe Bowie in the 70s.
Zoe. Why would he change his name? That is, come on, Zoe
I think
Bowie?
as a 12-year-old, he changed his name, but
Oh, that's not his given name, Zoe?
Zoe is his given name.
Oh.
Duncan is his middle name, and Jones is David Bowie's actual last name. So
okay. He wanted his credentials to stand on their own.
I think so. Yeah.
Not be tied up in Daddy's legacy.
Yeah. And Bowie himself was a big fan of this movie.
I think that this is a great movie. I think there's a lot of fans. It actually won a lot of awards.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is Moon, starring Sam Rockwell.
Highly underrated actor, I might add. I like him a lot.
He did great.
He won, actually. He won the Academy Award for 3 Billboards, didn't he, this past year? I think he did. I think he is the proud owner of an Oscar.
I'm going to back you on that.
And a Golden Globe.
And a Golden Globe.
So yeah, he's getting his due.
Yeah.
He didn't for this movie, though. He does a tour de force performance in this film. So what we've got here is a lonely astronaut by the name of Sam who's up on the moon, and he's harvesting. What is the name of the
Helium-3? Helium-3. Which is some kind of an energy source.
Yeah, an unlimited energy source that is being shipped back to Earth. And he's the only one up there that's harvesting this. The energy is unlocked by the sun once it gets down there.
I don't remember the specifics of it. Yeah, they throw it in like a little capsule or whatever, and off it goes into space, and it lands on Earth, and they somehow convert it.
And he has a 3-year stint on his moon base doing this, and his only companion is a computer, a supercomputer, that he calls Gertie.
Gertie? What?
Yeah, I did a triple, quadruple take when he first started calling it Gertie. I'm like, what?
Gertie.
Which had the original Emoticon face.
Yes,
it did. It had a little smiley when it was happy, or actually, it mirrored Sam's emotions rather than the computer's.
Gertie 3000, voiced by. I'm surprised they didn't go back and replace his voice.
I know.
Kevin
Very
Spacey.
Well done by Kevin Spacey. Really channeling Hal from 2001 here.
Yeah, I think he did. He agreed to do this only after the movie was entirely filmed, and if he approved the movie. And I think he did all of his lines in like an hour.
So this movie and Maniac, there's some kind of incestuous relationship going on that is probably deeper than what we're going to discuss here. But they both have ties to Alien because a lot of the inner workings of the moon base in Moon has a lot of the similar setup that Alien does. The padded walls, for example, are very Alien-esque. In the Nostromo, as you're going down the hallways, you see all the padding on the side of the walls, which you see in the moon base as well. So
Jim, I was thinking Space 1999.
There's a lot of callbacks to a lot of different space movies.
And then the plant that Sam is tending to, is the name of the plant is Ridley, if you caught that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Not Ripley, but Ridley is Ridley Scott. So,
well, I will tell you the model maker on this is Bill Pearson, who also was the model maker in Alien.
Really?
So there's your tie-in right there. There's a lot of
back to Maniac, the common room that all the test subjects sit in.
Yes, very.
It looks exactly like
very much so.
In the Nostromo.
Yeah.
where Kane unleashes the little baby alien.
You're right. Yeah, so there's definitely a 2001 alien outline. I don't know. There's definitely some other space references going on here and building of that base and the way it looks and feels.
So as soon as I realized the computer in Moon is called Gertie, there's similarities because they're both empathetic supercomputers. The Gertie in Moon is more concerned with how Sam is feeling than what his actual protocol is. Like at one point, he even pats him on the shoulder as he's, the Sam realizes that he's a clone. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I thought the design of Gertie was very well done and realistic. I mean, this thing goes throughout the ship, so it can't be like some tread little R2D2 like a thing. It actually is mobile by an arm device that goes from floor to floor from the ceiling.
Yeah, it sort of runs on tracks or something.
Yeah, and it's able to go wherever Sam goes.
It almost reminded me of what you see in a car assembly line, where these animatronic arms from the ceiling come and paint the cars on the assembly line. That's what it looked like to me.
I was also thinking the main computer in WALL-E on the human ship.
Oh, the captain?
Yeah, the captain's
the captain's wheel.
Captain is actually called, yeah.
It's called the captain.
But obviously that came after this, so they could have easily kind of swiped that look.
So there's a few other things I caught. The full moon seance episode, and there's a lot of moon imagery in Maniac. We have the full moon seance, the moon that's so prevalent in the Lord of the Rings episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she literally.
And then Owen becomes the hawk and flies into the moon. So, and then there's the whole thing. I was reading something online about how the moon kind of bridges night and day, dream time to reality. So I think there's a lot of call outs to the moon in general in Maniac and specifically to the movie Moon and Gertie. So I think that the filmmakers that made Maniac must have been watching this movie while they were either writing the movie or putting it together. And Trudy Styler is an executive producer of the film Moon and appears in Maniac.
So tell our listeners who that is, Jim.
Trudy Styler is the wife of Sting. I don't know if they're married or if they're just significant partners, but they've been together for quite some time.
I was going to say, I don't think they ever married.
So she produces movies, because she's got Sting's money to do what she will with.
So yes, I love the quietness about this. I mean, it really kind of captures the loneliness and isolation that this guy is going through. And so you said he's on a 3-year mission. He's literally on his last 2 weeks. And he's getting these transmissions from home of his wife, and she's giving him updates. But they're not live. They're like
video messages.
Yeah, there's something that's established early on that the live communication is down, correct?
Correct. And he can only send out messages that who knows when she gets them.
Right. And you don't know what the timeline is in between when she sends stuff back. He can only watch it and then respond and then send something back the other way.
And in most of the messages that he's getting from her, it seems like she wants out of the relationship. So
yeah, if your father of your child is on the moon for 3 years, it's not like he's in Tulsa. He's on the moon. It's not like you can drive down there, fly down there for the weekend to have a little, conjugal visit.
But they had this thing also that said it was like the Jupiter transmission was the mechanism in which they were communicating it, which had me thinking, is there something on Jupiter as well? Did anyone else pick that up?
I did not.
No. I think maybe I just assumed it was like the name of the thing.
Well, the name of the base that he was at was the Sarong, and there was 3, 4, 5 of these mining trucks, these big giant things that are just mining up the top of the moon.
So at some point we find out that Sam is a clone. He crashes one of the trucks. I think
he goes out to fix it. He goes out to fix it, and actually
he goes out to fix a harvester, and he crashes the truck that he's in into the harvester.
Yeah, he gets sidetracked.
And blacks out and wakes up back in the base. And Gertie tells him that he had a bump on the head and everything will be all right.
Yep, we got to run some tests on you. Just make sure that you're all right.
But he burned his hand previously, and you note that he doesn't have that burn.
He doesn't have the burn.
I think he notices that he doesn't have the burn on his hand. Something causes him to go back out to the crash site, and lo and behold, he's still in the driver's seat of the crashed truck.
He's still in the shuttle. There's 2 of them.
So he brings the first Sam back, and we realize that these are clones of each other, of the original Sam as well. And he's not going back home in 2 weeks at the end of his 3-year stint. He's going to be disintegrated.
Right. You find out that's right. This has been going on for quite some time. Yeah. They all think they're going home, and they slide into a little capsule, and then they just get incinerated. And the next one is awoken, and he's been told you're on a 3-year mission, and he just begins it anew.
And this has been going on at least for 15 years, because we find out that the real Sam's daughter is now 15 because he finds out that they can indeed have a live feed. So
And he calls the house.
And
mommy's dead.
And the real Sam, you hear him in the background. Who's talking about mommy?
Yeah. Dad, someone's calling about mom. And he just hangs up. But Sam 2 seemed really kind of, so you're right. At this point, you got to call him Sam 1 and Sam 2. Because, and this is where you're saying with this tour de force. I mean, Sam Rockwell is acting against himself. And they do a phenomenal job because Sam 1 is obviously, he's nearing the end of his life cycle. So he's falling apart. He's coughing up blood. He's pale. They get into a fist fight. And so he's all beaten up. And there's a huge difference in the way the two of them look and act. Because Sam 2, who's newly out of the incubation tube, he's healthy, he's vibrant, he's jump rope. And he doesn't really seem to question a lot of what's going on. Like Sam 1 is like, who is this guy? Why does he look like me? Like he just doesn't get it. He's obviously acting against nothing. Because he's playing both characters,
right,
and it is absolutely seamless. Even when they're fisticuffs and they're fighting each other, and I know the whole trick, let's shoot over the guy's shoulder so you can't see his face. But there's a huge amount of interaction between these two characters, and you realize that Sam 2 is like, oh, no wonder why Tess or whatever her name was, she always told me I was quick, I have a temper. And then Sam 1, he's been on the moon for 3 years, so he's kind of more laid back, and he's very much a pacifist. So you see like this kind of evolution between these two characters of what Sam 1 has gone through, and now dealing with like almost like his younger self. But just the interaction between these two characters, and it's really just one actor, is phenomenal.
And it makes you kind of think that the original Sam is a jerk, because when the second Sam wakes up, he's got to be more like the real Sam.
Yeah, closer, yeah.
Than the original one is,
yeah.
Because the original one has been on his own for so long, and he's adapted to life by himself. So as you said, he's mellow, he's a pacifist, while the other guy is not.
I'm the original Sam. I'm Sam Bell. Hey. Me!
Whoa.
Me!
Gertie, am I a clone?
Are you hungry?
So, and because he's a newborn, maybe that's why he's more accepting of the fact that he's
not. He
hasn't lived with the memories for 3 years.
Yep, but he's convinced that there's more of them. He's now convinced that there's more, and he's looking for the secret room, which they can't find. And he's like, I'm telling you, dude, I've been here for 3 years. I know every inch of this place.
The new Sam says, we have to be coming from somewhere.
Right, yeah. It was a little too, I didn't come in a space shuttle. I was here immediately after you went missing. Right. So yeah, and you find out that Gertie's got, at one point Sam 2 sees Gertie talking a live feed to the home base, to NASA or whoever, the Lunar Industries. So they know that there are now two Sams, and so they send Sam 1 a quote unquote rescue ship, which is really just going to go there and eradicate both of them and then wake up Sam number 3.
When they show the pictures of the pilots, of the astronauts that are coming, they all look like serial killers.
Yeah, no, they were not like guys that were going to come and help me.
These are not, guys that you are looking forward to meet. No.
Yeah. So they find the archives. They dig through and they find the video archives, and that's when they realize that there's been multiple versions of these Sams that are all living out their 3-year contracts. They get eradicated. They crawl into these little tubes and then just get burnt.
Yeah, and they see each one of them being burned in the
so it's like, yeah.
Which they're kind of passing off as some kind of an escape pod that's going to be shot back to Earth.
Yep.
But
I did find it a little weird, which was they couldn't find this hidden chamber. They didn't know it. And all of a sudden he watches a video and knows immediately where it is. And it's like right off the main room. Because at one point he turns around to Gordon and he goes, that room right there. They find the pod. And then they go down they go down one level more, and there's just a hangar full of Sams, hundreds of Sam Bells. Like, I think I would lose my mind. I'd be like, I can barely deal with myself. I can't deal with another me.
I mean, but the thing was, they clearly have space travel, and so why do you need the clones? Why don't you just send someone else up?
Because I think it's probably a cost prohibitive. You can just keep someone up there. So the original Sam, who's obviously back on Earth, was he ever on the moon, or did he like sign up for some program and they're like, hey, listen, we're going to pay you a couple $100,000, we're going to clone you, and then you just go on your way? Or is he oblivious to the fact that he's been cloned?
Yeah, or did he just go to a sperm bank one day and he doesn't even know? Yeah.
So this poor guy has been living up there, longing for the days to come back to his wife. He's been watching these videos, only to realize that it's all fantasy. It's all make, and he's got family pictures all over the place, and it's just absolutely for naught. Yeah. So it's very heart-wrenching.
If that's the case, did the wife know that he's going to have clones up in space?
She was making videos. Or was that all? They said it was implanted memories. So were they? That was the weird thing that kind of fell apart for me, which is, was this really his wife? It'd have to be.
And that would mean that would mean the original Sam would have had to have been there, right?
He would have been up there, and those messages would have been to him.
And they just keep relooping them. They just keep sending them back to him, thinking, all right, here's a 3-year window. No matter what he sends out. And, well, if he's the same character every time, he probably is not deviating too much from his storyline of what the feelings he's going through and whatever, the emotions of being up there and being isolated from the world. I think the only thing, what do you have, a Mary Tyler Moore episode in Bewitched? Those were like the only two things he was watching.
And it was very difficult for me to watch the performance of Sam 1 as he's just falling apart, throwing up with teeth coming out. He
was literally just
he is just a mess by the end of this movie, and it's hard to watch. And Sam Rockwell is so good. We end up with clone number 2, the healthy clone, valiantly kind of looking to sacrifice himself by sending the unhealthy Sam back Earth,
home, right?
Thinking that maybe he could get help or something, but then he realizes soon after that there's no helping him.
Right. There's a little bit of Blade Runner stuff going on there. I mean, didn't they have like a timeline as well? Those replicants, or no? They could just live forever.
Yeah. So then it turns out that the first clone realizes that he's just a goner and that he's going to stay, and then the second Sam is going to go back to Earth. So they put him. So nobody catches on to this. They have to put the first Sam back in the crashed rover, and he dies before.
Which was genius.
Yeah.
So because you have a countdown clock as well, which the quote unquote rescue ship is like closing in, and they're like an hour and a half out, and they're just gonna kill them both
and just let another clone take over from there.
Well, they did. They actually. So his plan was to put the dead Sam number 1 back in the crashed rover, exactly where he found him. Come back, have Gertie revive Sam number 3 or 3000, depending on how you want to count them. And then he hides in the pod where they're sending the helium-3, right? Isn't that? So he just gets jettisoned back home, and no one knows he's in there. Gertie's actually looking to help him. At one point, he actually helps Sam 1 change the password or find a password to get into the archives.
And then allows him to wipe his memory so nobody can figure out what has happened as well.
Right. So they can all just kind of go on. But before that happens, Sam number 2, after he puts Sam 1 back in the crashed rover, to go out of his way and destroy, they discover that there's these pylon antennas that are surrounding the base, and that's what's causing the communication blackout. It's actually jamming the transmissions. So Obi-Wan style, he goes out and he pulls the tractor beam down. So now when Sam 3 wakes up, he has live feed. So the lunar industries can no longer do what they've been doing.
Right.
They're going to be exposed because this guy now has a live feed back to Earth and can report and talk.
Which is what Sam 2 is doing, apparently, when he gets back to Earth as well. I think there's a snippet where he's giving testimony or something of what's happened to him. And so there's an uproar back on Earth, a humanitarian uproar.
So I want to follow that for one. Did you have anything else to say? Because I found this, I just came across this and I was blown away by it, because there is more to this story.
There is.
Yes, there is.
Please tell us.
Duncan Jones has a movie on Netflix right now called Mute. It's called Mute. And he refers to it as a spiritual sequel to this movie, Moon. And there is a scene in this movie where Sam Rockwell, as Sam Bell, is on trial with numerous other clones fighting the lunar industries.
Really?
Yep. And he wants to build this as a trilogy. So much like Glass kind of is picking up the pieces of Unbreakable and Split. This movie has got Paul Rudd, your boy toy, Justin Theroux. So you'll be thrilled. And
as Dr. Mantelray?
Yeah, man, that would be brilliant. Hair flopping. And Alexander Skarsgård. So it's a shared universe. He has taken these characters, and Sam Rockwell has a cameo in it as Sam Bell.
Oh, I think that should be on our list.
The minute I read that, I was like,
at some point.
Who knew? So yes, exactly. So yeah, because there's larger implications that this corporation, the morality of using, for lack of a better term, slave labor. They don't realize it that they're working against their will. They're using them like cattle, basically.
Yeah. So yeah. I really loved it. I liked it the first time I saw it. Liked it even better second viewing. And the reveal of the clones happens pretty early on.
It becomes
what makes the movie is the interaction, as you were saying, between them.
Phenomenal. Absolutely. Like you said, a tour de force performance. Yeah. And we've had numerous clone movies. The one thing that was the Tom Cruise Oblivion, I kind of thought about that, and it's kind of like standing on the shoulders of this one, where he finds out he's a clone.
So how many buckets we want to give it?
I'm going to go 4.5.
4.5.
4.5. I love the aesthetics of it. I loved, and again, it's a quiet movie. There's not a lot of music. It's very quiet, right? There wasn't really much drama build up. Sometimes, the musical score kind of tells you where you need to be excited or where you need to tense up. And this really is all based on the performance. And it all centers on Rockwell. And I think he killed it with this.
I sort of found myself comparing this to The Martian, and I don't know why, because they're not very similar movies, with the exception of, it's one man on a planet kind of thing, or one man on a planet, one man on a moon. And they're both very different movies, but I would say I'd give this...
I think there's a connection. Though, because I remember reading something about the Martian, whether it was the writer, but that is a good comparison, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great comparison. And you have 4? I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to step on you.
I think I'm going to go 4.
I'm going to go 3 3/4. Not quite 4 for me. 4 is like you have to buy this movie. Like
I own it, so there you go.
It's just not quite 4. It's a very good.
It is. I don't think it's a like rewatchable every time I see it on, but I think the performance just really takes it to the next level.
It's more of a performance-driven movie,
yep.
And I enjoyed it quite a bit. 3 3/4 is a solid score for me. So
excellent.
Yeah, it is. The only other thing, Benedict Wong has a cameo in this. Dr. Strange Wong himself.
I did see him in the credits. Where was he?
He's one of the guys on the home base that you only see him on the computer screen.
Oh, at the end of the table?
And grainy black and white.
That was him?
Where else would he be?
The other guy,
there's only like 3 people in the entire movie.
The guy that was seated, he's from a British sitcom called The IT Crowd that made Chris O'Dowd famous. And that's on Netflix as well.
Oh, really?
The guy with the English accent. Yeah, I don't know his name, the actors.
All right. Soylent was one of the ingredients on his shelf in the kitchen at one point, too. So you got a little Soylent green action.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I guess we need to wrap this up because I know Mike is.
Yeah, so we gotta get into our confessional.
Confessionals.
Mike wants to go and save Annie.
Kind of taking the piss, as they say, out of Maniac.
Listen, view it for yourself. Obviously, I love the fact that we have listeners who are like, I enjoy you guys, even though I don't agree with you. I'm like, but that's half the fun.
So Maniac on first viewing, maybe on 10th viewing, has a title that doesn't really fit.
It makes no sense.
It's storyline.
Nothing maniacal about this. Neither one of them are depressed.
It could be argued that Owen's character might be considered a maniac.
Hey, he doesn't go on a killing spree. Annie does, but only in their dreams.
So we're trying to consider what a better title for the show might be.
Yes, we are now executive producers at Netflix going, we love this movie, we want to produce it, but the title's got to go.
Or we've just watched 10 episodes and there's no title. What do we call this thing?
I know. I think they just opened a thesaurus, to be honest with you. It's right up there with Extinction.
I would say ABC and have the Jackson 5 song as it's...
Oh.
Annie's. Okay. Mike?
Since I'm really critical about this, I would have just named it Pointless.
I can't. We're done. We're out of here. That's a mic drop. I can't even match that. I was going with Owen and Annie's Not So Excellent Adventure.
That's good.
All right. Well, next week we got a big one.
Yeah.
Venom is dropping next week.
Oh boy,
and we're gonna watch it. And as it's classic, I guess I'm up, and we have committed in October to viewing as our classic features the movies that traumatized us as children. So we thought the Venom would tie up nicely with Beware the Blob, the 1972 Blob sequel.
It's not called Beware of the Blob. It's just Beware.
Beware! Exclamation point the Blob.
Oh, not even
Beware
a comma.
The Blob.
Beware the Blob. Minus Steve
what
McQueen, right? No Steve McQueen in this one.
No Steve McQueen. We've got Larry Hagman. We've got Burgess Meredith.
You said Larry Hagman directed this?
He directed it, and he has a cameo. It's on YouTube in its entirety, so that's how we're going to watch it, because I really doubt that you can find it at your local library.
You don't think that one's a classic that's up there? Venom. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully I have enough points.
I really got my reservations about this, but
I'm hoping I have enough points for a free movie ticket. Are they even going to make him a space symbiote? Alien?
No, I don't
know it's in a lab.
I don't know.
That's a nice tie-in, though. Because I guess the Blob is not a symbiote. It just eats people.
It just
doesn't like them.
Yeah. So, and before we go, I just want to give a shout out to my friend and famous author, Christina Henry. She is going to be at New York Comic Con as well. So if you guys run into her, say hello for me. She's going to be on a panel on Sunday called Weirdness Accessible. And it's going to be in room 1A18 at 1:30. And she's going to be signing autographs in hall 1A at 2:45. And she's written the Black Wing series. She's written Alice. She's written Red Queen. The Mermaid is her new book that's out. She's very good. So
Weirdness Accessible.
It's not going to be at New York Comic Con. Please take a look at one of her.
I think we have to go check out. What's her first name again? Her last name is Henry? Christina.
So there you go.
Okay.
All right.
There you go. So there we go. Another episode in the books. Episode 26. Maniac and Moon. One awesome. One not so awesome.
So true.
Yes. So that's it.
All right.
Oh, come on.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Yeah, Ernie. Where's Ernie?
I can't. What are you saying?